Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. As the VCT regular seasons are coming to a conclusion around the world, Sentinels have done enough to keep their hopes alive for the playoffs and potentially to try and go back-to-back and win Shanghai. Their victory last night against FURIA was just about good enough to give them a chance going forwards, but Sassy seems to believe that even not making the playoffs could be a blessing in disguise for their roster. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, Aaron, of course, obviously well-known player from the XZ days, then into the global esports days. He has obviously retired a little while ago now, and he has joined the game analysis and testing team at Riot Games. This is really cool to see. Similar to what your boy Dre did, didn't he? Is that not true? That he was a player and then he went to work for Riot in, I think, quality assurance and stuff. So Aaron's going to be working in game analysis and testing, which is really cool. I think honestly a great player, like good IGL for the rosters that he was on over the last couple of seasons. His career didn't work out, but now he's got a good next step to go into. So yeah, really cool stuff, and wishing the best for him in the near and the longer term. This was hilarious, by the way. So Ban, ready for the match against Paper X today, and here they are getting, Boy and Ban and those guys getting 13-0'd hard on a ranked descent game. And the hilarious thing was that he's like, yeah, I'm getting slammed, but obviously in the real series I'm going to play properly and all this. They turn up to the real series and they get absolutely bodied 13-0. So we'll get to that in a second. Firstly, there's been some rumors on roster changes at RRQ. They obviously didn't get... They look pretty okay this stage compared to what maybe I expected, but it didn't quite work out. So they're probably going to make a change. There's been speculations that, well, is there another surprise here? And Flips has moved to the bench of the RRQ roster and been transfer listed. So it seems like they're going to get somebody else in. There's been some speculation. Some have said, oh, it's Pancada, which I'm like, unlikely, right? But there are other options. Monyet is possibly the one that makes the most sense. A player that's been very good. Of course, was on Paper X, but now Jing is back. They don't need him anymore. So, my guess is that Monyet's going to go somewhere. This might make a fair bit of sense. So we'll see if that's what RRQ eventually decide to come up with. There was also Asarai, who's been dominating predictions out there in the Pacific, and he predicted very controversially against Paper X, I believe, and against T1, which did not end up working out especially well, because these were the series yesterday in the Pacific. We talked about the Team Secret T1 one, that again, when Team Secret push comes to shove, they just can't win. The other series was Paper X Talent. This was underway as we did yesterday's video, right? And the Lotus was 13-0. This was hilarious, right? But just because Ban had talked about, obviously he'd put that screenshot out there before their series, they turn up on Lotus and get 13-0 slammed on their map pick. Like, that's the funniest thing to me. Literally their pick, and they got bodied. And then they come into Bind and win, like, dominate Paper X on the Bind 13-7. Like, what is going on? But at the end, the better team did win, and the Sunset went 13-9 in their favour. Valiant attempt on the second half from Talent to try and bring it back, but in the end, it was just too much. The fake comeback come through, and Paper X get the win. So, yet again, out here in the Pacific, we have the four teams that always come top four in the top four. Gen.G, DRX, Paper X, and T1. That's how it looks. And of course, only 3 of these will get to go to Masters Madrid. You might expect Gen.G, DRX, and Paper X. The series is currently 1-1 tied up, and T1, though, are 7-3 up on this breeze. If they close out this series, and by the time this video goes live, we'll see whether they have done or not. You guys feel free to check it at your own time. And of course, we'll discuss tomorrow. Then they could well, T1, have secured qualification, because if you win this series, that's you locked in for the main event. So that's going to be fascinating. Cool to see T1 turning up as well, because, they're a team that I think has had more potential than they have showed so far. But Gen.G, they were the champions not long ago of this region, and times change rather quickly, potentially. Now, in EMEA, this has been pretty crazy over the last few days. I mean, I've mentioned this, how difficult this region is to call, and it ended in remarkable fashion. Like, this was the one way that it could have ended that just makes it ridiculous, to be honest. So, in the end, Heretics qualify. Heretics needed Liquid to win, I think, like 9 rounds or something, and then it would basically against Gentlemates, and then it would be fine. But they absolutely destroyed Gentlemates. Like, this Liquid team has looked pretty bad, and we've roasted them a bit. They turn up against Gentlemates, and they slam them in an unbelievable fashion here. Like, Nats was plus 25, 38-13. The Lotus was 13-4. The Icebox on their pick, Gentlemates, was 13-2. So whatever Gentlemates have got going on, they work it. And it's like I said a while ago, I'm not impressed by this Gentlemates team, but like somehow they kept getting some wins. And I'm just really confused at what the hell is going on in this region right now, because Group A ended as follows. 3-3, 3-3, 3-3, 3-3, 3-3. Everyone won and lost to 3 teams in Group Omega. And many of them won and lost to plenty of different teams. Like, it's ridiculous. And Movistar KOI, they got a win on the board. Giantex, they got a win on the board. FUT Esports 2-0'd BBL as well, so that knocked BBL down. So Liquid, out of nowhere, basically, somehow made it to the playoffs. BBL bottled it, getting 0-2 there by FUT Esports. That didn't work out in their favour. They could have made it through, but no. The Turkish inter-regional rivalry knocks them out of even the playoffs themselves. Vitality don't make it. I mean, a complete mess, I'm not going to lie. So, anyway, those are the 6 teams that made it through. This is the way the bracket looks. So, Fnatic Liquid is a knockout game. If Liquid played as they did against Gentle Mates, I mean, who knows what's going to happen. But, and then the winner of that plays KC, Na'Vi, Heretics, they play FUT. So, that's fascinating in and of itself, of course. And Sentinels will have to hope that they can pull off a situation such as Liquid have done, because Liquid's chances, we don't really know the numbers, right? But people are talking about, 2% chance, 1.5% chance, 3% chance of Liquid making it to the playoffs. They've done it, right? They dominated Gentle Mates that they had to. The other results went their way, and bang, Liquid are in the playoffs. So this is a potentially similar story here with Sentinels. Last night was their crucial series. They needed to 2-0, so even if they went 13-0, 13-11 loss, 13-0 victory, that's not enough because map count trumps round count. So Sentinels had to 2-0 FURIA, and they did 2-0 FURIA. And they did just enough, I would say, in this series to keep their dreams somewhat alive. Incredibly impressive from TenZ as well. I wouldn't say he's performed badly in his last couple of series, but he hasn't been quite as impactful maybe as normally you might expect from TenZ. And this series, you just absolutely bodied them, to be honest. 13-5 on the split, and this was interesting, right? Because it was 5-3 at a time. It was 6-3, 6-4. And at 6-4, you're thinking, man, it's tough. If you guys aren't aware, basically Sentinels have to overcome a 26 round count differential against G2 if they want to make it, and they need other results to go in their favour as well, which we'll see if that happens tonight. So they needed to destroy FURIA, and they did a good job on split 13-5. Then they won the Icebox 13-9. They probably let slip a couple too many rounds. Like, I think the Sentinels, the fact that they lost both pistols will be a cause of some frustration because they're clearly the far better team. But just losing those couple of pistols and the conversions just meant that they, weren't quite as dominant as they might like to have been. So they lost 14 rounds here in the end. They won 26. So that's a 12 map differential they put through. And obviously what they wanted was 13-5, 13-5. That would have been nice. 13-5, 13-9 is just about okay if things really go their way now, but I think the chances now are particularly low. This is how it looks in the region. So Sentinels are moved to 3-3, and it's got to be said as well, I guess I'll just bring this up for you guys real quick, 3-3 would look real nice in Group EMEA. But obviously they're not in Group EMEA. They're in Group Alpha, and it's stronger because look, 3-3, 7-6, plus 21 round differential. Like, for a Sentinels in a major slump, that ain't too bad, but it's not probably going to be good enough because Crew are 5-0, they're locked in. Cloud9 are 4-1, they're locked in. It's then a battle between G2, NRG, and Sentinels. So that 2-0 win for Sen is not bad. They need NRG to lose today. If NRG get 2-0'd today, they will then be 7-6 map count with what will guaranteedly, if that's even a word, be a worse round count than Sentinels. So if NRG get 2-0'd, then guaranteed Sentinels finish above them. The question though is G2 because they have a plus 34 round differential here, which is very tasty, and that is still plus 13 over Sentinels. So they need G2 to lose with 14 rounds to play with effectively in the favour of Loud when they play them. So there's 14 rounds that Sentinels need to overcome. That means Loud have to demolish G2 on the final game by a 14 round situation over 2 maps. So that is 7 maps per round. That is 13 or 7 rounds per map. Loud need to 13 basically do to G2 what Liquid did to Gentle Mate. If they do that, then yeah, Sentinels will make it. Assuming 100T also 2-0 NRG. So I think the chances are still very slim. But Sentinels have kept their hopes alive. There have been some questions as well on whether this is actually a good thing for Sentinels, because there's talk about the meta, the changes in the game, the updates they're bringing to the game, the way the format even is this season, the fact that you go from the regular season into playoffs, into Shanghai, and while you're out there in Shanghai, you can't maybe get the practice in that you necessarily want to and potentially improve. There is a feeling, right, that the teams that were not at Masters Madrid they actually had an advantage when those teams got back from there, given the state of play that it was about to happen. I think we saw that with Loud's performance, most certainly in the first few games they played. And Sassy gives some comments on this, right? And honestly, he maybe made similar comments during 2022 when they went on to, work hard and win the World Championship that year, Loud. But he discusses, okay, maybe there's a bit of burnout, but mainly it's because when you're on top as a team, everyone's looking at what you're doing, trying to counter you, and as he says, we ended up being read very easily. We were the team to be beaten, and we didn't have that drastic change between the tournaments, saying that, lots of other teams were practicing while we were, honestly playing, right? So, talks about how things have gone. This is very interesting, though, I thought, as he says. For me, I think we're already out, to be honest. We need a miracle, and I'm going to be a bit of a jerk here, but by the way that we're playing, I don't think it's worth going to the playoffs. We still have a lot of things to sort out, and for me, I'd rather we stay and fix things before going to the playoffs or going to Shanghai, because the way we're playing, we need to fix things first. So actually, Sassy reckons that it might even be in their best interests not to go to the playoffs or to Shanghai. I feel like the playoffs, though, it's got to be a good thing to go, just because you get that practice against the other teams, however it goes, even if you're probably resigned to the fact that Shanghai is not going to be the case. But to be honest, maybe it is worth it for Sentinels in the longer term, in the same way that various other teams around the world massively improved while everyone was out playing tournaments in Madrid. There is an argument that Sentinels could do a similar thing. So yeah, if there is one time in the season to have a bit of a slump, now is the time. You want to obviously start well and win as they did. Now is when Sentinels are in a slump, and then theoretically over the next couple of months, that could be a very different story. But yeah, Sentinels, they can still make it, but I kind of agree with Sassy that realistically, they're probably out, and it looks like a miracle is not going to be happening. So yeah, NRG need to lose 0-2. G2 need to lose 0-2 and win no more than 13 rounds. So, 13-6, 13-6, that would be enough for Sentinels to advance. So hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.